Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bay Area Content Marketing Meetup. Today, we're talking Instagram. We have Mariana Padilla, founder and CEO of Red Lab Marketing. I have a big announcement about Mariana, so I was just checking our records, and Mariana has now set a record in the Zoom phase of our meetup. This is her fourth Zoom appearance with the meetup. So thank you, Mariana, for all the past talks and for this one. So today, we're talking Instagram, as I said. Mariana is going to cover the following: an overview of Instagram's features, insights into what types of content to focus on, making sales on Instagram. That's of interest to me, even though I probably won't be selling, but it's interesting, and how to show up online in a way that is authentic to you. So Mariana, thanks again for joining, and take it away.
Awesome. So thank you so much. Yeah, look at me. Oh, world record holder, Bay Area Content Marketing Meetup world record holder. I'm going to put that on my LinkedIn. I think no one will know what that means except all of you, but that's okay. Awesome. So okay, great. Can you guys see my screen? Let me move this thing. Hold on. All right. Okay, so I don't have as many slides as I did for my last presentation. I wanted to leave a little bit of extra time for conversation, but I think it's most helpful. I will just go through. If you guys have some questions, pop them in the chat, and then we can save questions for the end as well. So first of all, thank you guys so much for being here. Again, my name is Mariana. Red Lab Marketing is my company. It is named after those two dinguses on the right. That is Rosie. Those are Rosie and Walter, my two red fox Labradors. And I caught them canoodling the other day in this ridiculous pose. So I thought everyone appreciates a good dog photo. So here we are. Okay, so Instagram. Yes, there's so many aspects of it that I think confuse a lot of people. There seem to be all sorts of new features all the time. It's changing constantly, like WTF do we do with Instagram? That's what we're talking about today. All right, so I just wanted to start here, which is I think that recession is top of mind for many small businesses, including myself. Like, how do we really recession-proof our brand with social media is something that has been coming up a lot in conversations with my clients. I'm sorry, I'm just going to move over. I'm going to minimize. I won't be able to see you guys. I'm just going to minimize you guys real quick so I can see. Okay. All right. And I love a good meme, so there'll be lots of memes popping up throughout this presentation. But yeah, recession top of mind, and one of my favorite shows here, we have Narcos. But so in terms of the recession and just Instagram in general, and where I feel like the future of marketing is heading, I think the best tactic that you can invest in right now is keeping it human. And so I just want to give credit where credit is due for the term keeping it human. My very, very first Bay Area Content Marketing Meetup was led by Kathy Klotz, I can't, whatever, guest. And it was all about yes and was what she was talking about. But her business is called Keeping It Human. And I just think it's so valid. How can you use your social media? How can your brand keep it human? Because that's going to be the thing that's going to bring you the most success. So forwarding connection, like I just said, is what will make your brand truly memorable and will lead to the biggest returns. Remember that your customers are people, and people will open their wallets for the brands and products that make them feel something, because they too are people. And so, when it comes to specific strategies for success, I am all about building out content calendars around certain content pillars. And so when it comes to Instagram, there are 4 specific types of content that I would encourage you to focus on. And so these 4 are community building, entertaining content, inspirational content, and educational content. So let me dive in and talk a little bit more about each one of those content pillars. So I've kind of changed around the language a little bit in terms of the content pillar, kind of as I've learned and grown more about the platform. But the first I used to call humanizing content. Now I call it community building, and it's really kind of the same thing. But how can you use your brand, your content to bring people together and make them feel like they are part of something, right? So, you know, we are human, like as the human's going to be the theme for the day. You're going to hear me talking about humanity and humanizing it many, many times. But, you know, as humans, we all have the desire to really be part of something and you know, like, and be part of that group and be present for that. And so I think that is going to be a huge part of your success, is how can you use your brand to build community and bring people together. The next of those is very, you know, doesn't need a whole lot of explanation. Entertain your audience, keep them coming back for more. People really love entertaining content, which is I'm sure why you have, you know, 13,000 Instagram followers. Your Wall Street parody people love that, right? They want to be entertained. The fourth of those is inspirational content. So how can you show people like what the possibilities are? And so how, when they are able to see the possibilities and see that, they're more likely to take action and be like connected to you and your content. And then the last one is educate. No matter what industry you are in, and no matter who you are, no matter what you are selling, you want to be seen as someone who is knowledgeable, who is a thought leader in your industry. And so being able to produce educational content in a way that connects with your audience is going to be super important. And so I have some logos on here. These are 4 brands that I think just do a really spectacular job in each one of these content pillars. If you've heard me talk before, you know I'm kind of a Peloton groupie. Whatever, Peloton is amazing at community building. Who Gives a Crap is a sustainable toilet paper brand company, and their content is hilarious. I also have Adobe on here. You might not think of them having, you know, like really inspirational content, but I will on the next slide show you some examples of each of these. All right, so the first is, I just wanted to show you like a really solid example of community building, and so this is from Peloton. So they just do such an amazing job of making me feel welcome, making me feel worthy, making me feel like I'm worth showing up each and every day, getting on that bike. I don't have the tread, but and they're releasing a rowing machine, which I'm super excited about. But like every time I show up to my Peloton class or they see their videos online, I know that I am going to like feel like I am part of something. And I just think they do just such an incredible job of marketing their brand online. I'm going to come back to Who Gives a Crap because I have to leave the window to show you that. But this is an example of Photoshop, the Adobe Photoshop product that I think it does a really good job of showcasing their software and their product and showing like the potential of what it can do.
Hey, Mariana.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Can you, yeah.
I don't think we're hearing the sound, possibly because you have your headphones on.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Okay, well, this one you don't necessarily need the sound for, but in the last one, Jess King was saying that you are worthy. You don't need to do anything else other than show up as who you are. That's what she was saying. That the essential, you got to see the video of her walking on the treadmill. So, okay, my bad. And I will describe to you what they're doing in each one of these videos.
Okay.
And this one you actually don't necessarily need the sound because it has subtitles. But essentially, he is talking about like his artwork, which he creates on Photoshop, and how he uses the different tools and uses the shadows and all of the different things to create his artwork. And when I first saw this post, I thought this was like paint on canvas. I didn't even realize this was created in Adobe Photoshop, and I just think it's like so amazing what you can do with Adobe, and I think they do a great job of capturing that in their content. All right. And then the last one is Active Campaign. And so they do a really, really incredible job of educating their audience. And so I think they also do it in a really smart way too. So they have a whole series of reels that is like under 30 seconds. And I think most of them are actually 15 seconds, 15-second active campaign tips. And so they essentially walk through the things that make their products unique and outstanding, which I really appreciate Active Campaign, and like the recipes for email automations, how like they have all these recipes already built out for you. So whatever product or you're launching or whatever you are offering to them or to your audience, they have all of those recipes already built out to save you time. And so that's one thing that makes it unique. And so they do a really great job of talking about that. And then also walking you through how to use that. So that's what he is doing in this lane. It's a 15-second active campaign tip. And it's basically showing you how, if you are if you're selling courses, how you can sell a mini course first and then lead that into like a full course sale. So that is essentially what this one is. They have a whole bunch of what they call 15-second active campaign tips. And then this one, let me see if I can show you this one. So this was created by Who Gives a Crap during the pandemic. And this was an example of user-generated content of some customers who were doing toilet paper obstacle course. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. I just think it's super, super funny and original. Like, what they have all sorts of these videos of people doing funny things with the toilet paper, like the dogs jumping over the toilet paper. Like, how many levels of the toilet paper can the dog jump over? So, like, it is definitely not something that you see from toilet paper companies typically, right? Like they're outside of the mold in terms of like what you normally see from like, you know, Charmin or whatever. All right, so let me go back to this one. All right, well, bummer that you didn't hear the sound. That's good to know for tonight's presentation. I shall not wear my headphones. Live and learn. All right, so, and if you've seen me present before, one of the things that I talk about in a fifth content pillar is promotional content. And so you may be thinking to yourself, well, what about promotional content? How do I tell people about my brand? How will people learn about what I'm doing and invest in me? Well, here's the thing that I would say to you right now. Your customers may be cutting back on spending. And because of this, the way you view marketing during a recession really needs to shift. So rather than have a laser focus on conversion rates of paid ads, you should instead pivot to using your channels to really make that human connection, use your channels to, you know, demonstrate your thought leadership, spread brand awareness. I don't have the statistics to back this up, but I would go out on a limb and say that during a recession, your rates on paid ads and landing pages and things like that are really going to go down. I don't have the statistics, but that's just my hunch. That's my assumption. All right, so look at this goofy guy here. In addition to focusing on content pillars, you also need to prioritize video. So let's talk about the power of Reels. So Reels generate 67% more engagement than standard Instagram videos. There was a case study done on the NBA and when they started using Reels, and I think that is where the 67% number comes from. But essentially, when they started using Reels for their NBA teams and the team started adapting it, it just saw a huge explosion in growth and the engagement on their content, in their followers, and all sorts of stuff. So it can be really, really powerful when you leverage Reels the right way. And so the other thing you really need to consider if you're thinking about Instagram is this. Zuckerberg is rightfully so concerned about TikTok. And so what they are considering, and they're actually testing this now, is that they are testing a full screen feed and a redesign that resembles TikTok. So essentially what that will look like when you open up your Instagram app is it will look like TikTok, right? Where you have the video feed that you can scroll through. My assumption is you'll still be able to post, you know, regular photos or even carousels, but your audience is going to have to click through to another screen in order to access those. So again, my assumption here is that will people click over to that other screen? Probably yes. Will your rates of people seeing your other content like plunge? I think so. Like, I can't imagine that, like, if there's another screen that your users have to go to, that kind of content isn't going to like dramatically decrease. And the other thing too is just in terms of like the content that is getting distributed and seen now, you know, like reels had just such a bigger reach. Like when I publish a reel, like I can typically anticipate that I'll have between like 10 to 25,000 views on each of my reels. When I publish just like regular videos, it is nowhere near that. It is, and so like even photos, like carousel posts, and like I think my content's really good. I have an eye for design, like I've done all the competitive research, I put all the time into it, and it just doesn't get seen because the algorithm is really prioritizing Reels content. So Reels is where it is at. If you have been avoiding video content, I'm sorry to tell you, if you want to have an Instagram presence, you're going to need to make Reels. And before I move on to the next slide, I just wanted to ask you to please do not judge me too harshly from using a meme of the worst of the Star Wars movies. All right, I'm not actually going to show you these because you can't hear the audio, but the next thing you need to consider, next feature that I think you really should be leveraging on Instagram is live. So live it up. Going live gives a face to your brand and gives your audience the opportunity to interact with you. It could be something like, you know, a live Q&A about a product. It could be if you're a recruiting agency, you could have like best practices with you know, for applicants. Like no matter what you do, like I think giving your audience an opportunity to learn from you, you'd really be able to put like a face to the brand name is very, very important. Over here on the left, we have an example of Chewy. And so what their live series is a live Q&A. It's called Ask a Vet. And so essentially Chewy users and pet parents have the opportunity to go live with a vet and ask them questions. So not only is it a great way for people to be like, hey, this is the face of Chewy, but also like generating the audience and getting them into the creation content process also like really increases engagement, because it's like, okay, you know, Chewy really cares about me. They're giving me an opportunity to ask all these questions of this vet on this live program. So I think that's a really cool feature, and you could do that in a bunch of different ways. You can leverage live content. Not to toot my own horn, but I also have a live series. If you want to watch or join or be on the program, I'd love to have you. But it is called Profits for Purpose, and so my whole MO is all about working with and being a values purpose-driven brand. And so my live series is all about connecting with and interviewing with other purpose-driven brands. So that is the other thing about Instagram is absolutely use the other video features. And the second one of those is a live. Going live is going to be super important also. The next thing that I wanted to touch on, which isn't necessarily specific to Instagram, but I think is really valuable to consider in terms of like a general marketing strategy, or just, you know, how you want your brand to be seen by the public, is, you know, conscious consumers and organizations will invest in products and services from values aligned companies that make them feel good about that purchase. So for many consumers, myself included, I'm far, far more likely to invest my money in companies that take a stand for their values and do good in their community. This is why I always buy Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I think they're amazing. I love what they stand for. They take a stand. They're not afraid to take a stand. And, you know, for a small business, like it may be harder to do this, but there's lots of ways that you could get involved. So you could, if you have staff members, give them time off to engage in volunteerism. You could sponsor an adoption drive for homeless animals, giving customers, you know, free services or products, starting a scholarship program for services, offer pro bono services. That's something that I want to be moving into. And then why I'm talking about this is that you can then document all of these efforts and put it on your Instagram, right? And so when you are able to do that, then your customers who are seeing your content are going to say, oh my gosh, like I already love this brand, but look at all these like truly amazing things that they're doing in the community. They're going to remember that, and they're going to be drawn to your brand and want to work with you. All right. So the next thing you can do, and I think brands of all sizes can do this, is to leverage user-generated content. And there's a bunch of different ways that you could do that. You could, have some sort of contest where you encourage people to post content and tag you in it, and then you can reshare it. People, if you have like UPS here over on the left had someone, take a picture of their dog and tag UPS, and then UPS reposted it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. But when you're able to effectively use content that your audience is creating, right, they're drawn in. They say, okay, this brand recognized me, they see me, they're using my content on their channel. And I think it's just a really great way. It's a really great way to build community. It's another way of doing that. So some examples, again, we have Adobe. So this is another example of like how their product gets used. Just a video of that. Canva, this is a social media marketer who is doing a song about living in Canva paradise. I don't think that Canva paid him to create this. I think he created it and then they reposted it. So, and it's just a great way to generate brand loyalty and, again, build that community, which I just said. All right, community. So you want your audience to feel like, they're one of you, they're part of the community. So making sure that you are monitoring your comments on social media and responding promptly. There are tools that can help you do this, Sprout Social being the one that comes to mind. That's what they're all about. They call it social listening, which to me sounds really creepy. Just listen to your, respond to audience comments promptly. It can be a really great way of identifying warm leads. I've had people just comment regularly on some of the content that I was creating. That gave me an opportunity to respond to their comments and even, move to DMs. And from there, if it makes sense, and they're like, hey, I really appreciate your content, I want to know more about what you do, then at that point in time, you can, move into get off Instagram and potentially have a sales call with them, right? So I think that comments are a really great way to identify people who are interested in your products and services. So remember that, again, people have a fundamental need to belong, and creating community for your audience and fans will help ensure that you have an engaged network of folks who will support and help grow your business for the long term. The other thing I wanted to just mention is that, if you have over 1,000 followers, I think this is just for ManyChat, but if you have over 1,000 followers, I would highly recommend that you invest in ManyChat. And so ManyChat gives you the option to set up like chat conversation. So if someone DMs you on Instagram, you can have that chat conversation ready to go, and potentially again lead into a sales conversation. But I think this is one of the biggest parts of Instagram that gets overlooked. I think there's a lot of focus around what kind of content do we produce on Instagram. There's a lot of focus on, okay, yeah, let's make video content, let's make reels. All of that is super important, but that's only a piece of the puzzle. Like follow-up and engagement is a huge part of it that often gets overlooked. And so, when you're thinking about Instagram, make sure you're considering leaving time for, like I said, responding to comments. It's also really helpful to go through and comment on other folks' content and do it in an authentic way. Like nice post, that doesn't mean anything, right? Okay, fine, whatever. But I've actually had sales conversations with people in other people's content comments, right? So someone was asking questions about, I don't even remember what it was, but someone had posted something about social media. They had asked a question. The person who had not posted the content, who had posted the content, had not responded to their comment. I jumped in there and responded to their comment. We jumped from there into the DMs, had a whole conversation about like the services that I offer. And then from there, it went into a sales conversation. And that was just from responding to someone's comments in someone else's post, right? So don't forget, like, engage with other people's comments and engage with other people's content on Instagram is like a huge piece of that. And then my last slide, and then we can have all sorts of time for conversation and questions. I just want to there is, I think, a push, particularly from larger organizations, that like everything on social media needs to be perfect. That caption needs to be perfect. It needs to be on brand. Is that image right? You know, on brand is like the catchphrase that I dread the most. Is it on brand? Is this good? Like, is this, you know, whatever. And to me, just get the content out there. And not only that, I sometimes think that like authentic content that is not perfect, like when I, you know, screw up or something, and I have the data to back this up, whenever I post content about like the times that I screwed it up, people love that shit. Like they love it. They want to know that they are not alone in making that mistake. So just be authentic, have a brand voice that is you know, different and unique, and be authentic. And I think that that is going to be the thing that people respond to, right? And so again, going back to being human, none of us are perfect, right? So the more you are able to embrace the imperfection and be authentic, the more success that you will have. Consistency is important, right? So if you're able to, I would totally recommend posting 7 days a week or scheduling out content 7 days a week. If you're not at that point, start with 3, right? Get comfortable showing up on the platform, have your posts scheduled out, make sure you're spending time and devoting time to engaging with other people's content, engaging in the comments, and showing up consistently. The algorithm will reward you for being consistent. And then the last point, I just repeated myself there, but show up and engage with the platform is a huge piece of the puzzle that I think is often overlooked. So that was my last slide. So now let's open it for questions, and I'm going to stop sharing.
Thanks, Mariana. Yeah, so excuse me. So feel free to put questions in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask your question. I have some, but I'm going to let others go first. Anyone?
It's very tactical. I'm a basic Instagram user. What are the mechanics of reposting content, and are there any nuances to doing it appropriately?
Yeah, so I make sure that you have the original poster's permission to share the content is the first thing, right? So if it's like a photo taken by someone else, make sure that you have their permission to share that. Then there is a tool called, I forget, it's like Instagram Reposter or something, where you can copy the link for the photo and download it without like without screenshotting it, without having like the images or whatever on there. So you can do that, have the Instagram reshare app, download the photo and then share it that way. Or photo, like video content, and you know, just again, make sure you have the permission to share it. Or, you know, specifically thinking about reels, if there's something that you find to be super engaging, you can always remix the reel, which is like that side-by-side reel option where it's like the video on the side and then you're responding to the video on the other side. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't think I did a very good job of explaining that, but remixing a reel is essentially like taking another person's piece of content and then responding to it like in real time and making that into another video. So that's something else to consider. And I've seen people do that in a really smart way. So if there's something like specifically, you're like, okay, I want to agree with this. I think this person did a really good job of explaining this. You can remix the reel that way. Or if it's something you're like, okay, this is a red flag, I disagree with the way this person is presenting this. There's all sorts of different things that you could do with that.
And the remixing is handled just through the app. There's a share.
Yeah. So essentially, like if you see a video you like, you can save it and then you can remix it. So you can, and it'll be in your saved videos, and you can have the option to like remix it.
Okay, thank you.
And was that copied from, didn't TikTok pioneer that concept?
Yes, so TikTok was the original.
Okay.
Yeah, which I feel like TikTok's the elephant in the room. We can totally talk about TikTok also. And Craig asked, is there community on TikTok? Maybe some comparison of Instagram versus TikTok from a marketing point of view. Okay, totally. So I think it is a little bit easier to grow on TikTok. That seems to be my sense. If you're posting content consistently, I think that it's easier to grow on TikTok. My concern with TikTok is that there was a recent report out that basically a lot of the content from TikTok was getting saved on Chinese servers. So I don't necessarily know how I feel about that, particularly if you're like a tech security company. Do you really want to have like your content being captured in China and your data living there. And so that's one concern I have about TikTok. Something else to consider if you're already on YouTube is that YouTube Shorts are actually like making a lot of headway and are gaining a lot of traction. So if you're already on YouTube, YouTube Shorts are another option for short form video content that may be something you want to consider. So you asked about community on TikTok. Yeah, and you definitely can go live on TikTok. I'm not sure that either is particularly great for like building. It's not going to be like building a Facebook group or like building a Mighty Networks, right? It's going to be a lot more about like engaging in the comments and getting to know people that way versus like having a platform where people can show up and be part of a group. So neither is particularly good from that aspect, but it is really great if you're able to connect with users and say, hey, I really love your content. I think it's really great. Like I want to like learn more about you. The other thing about TikTok too is that when you get to a certain stage, like you can just like donate money directly to content creators. So if you're like, I think this person's doing a really great job, there's like a gift button, so you can just donate, like give them money for producing their content. So I think it's really great from that perspective. If you are a content creator and you're making your money like creating videos, it's a great place to monetize your content. I see a hand up also.
Hi.
Hi.
Hand down here. Okay, lower hand. Okay, so now I'm trying to remember my question. Thank you so much. It's been a really, really valuable presentation. I appreciate it so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'm doing an NFT project. I'm a fine artist, and
Nice.
so I've been building community and a lot in Twitter. And so we are engaged with Instagram as well.
Okay.
And I am thinking about starting to do TikTok live videos. And I wanted to know, okay, so, oh yeah, now I remember my question. So in terms of using other people's like picture content, I have gotten into the practice of when I'm going to use a picture from someone else's post, maybe a picture with text in it, I make sure to include the poster's information on top.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not me getting permission from the originator, but it's me quoting the poster. Is that like good enough for, nobody coming after me?
I would say no, because particularly if you're a professional artist, professional photographer, I had this issue where I asked if I could post their photo and they said, no, you need to have a licensing fee. So it may be for some people, but I would say take the extra step to ask them before posting. And like literally all you need to say sometimes is just like even comment on their Instagram post, hey, I really like your content. I would love to share this on my channel. Would that be okay with you? It doesn't need to be anything more than that.
Okay.
Have them respond with a simple yes or no, but I don't think it is good enough to just post it, because specifically, like, and this is from my experience, this photographer wanted me to pay a licensing fee in order to repost it. I didn't want to pay the licensing fee, didn't want to go through all that. It was too much, like it was an extra step I wasn't willing to take, but just so some people, I would not be okay with that.
That is super valuable. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I see Mia has her hand up. You have a question, Mia?
Hi.
Yeah, my question is, if you're a smaller creator, does it make sense to answer every comment, or is there like a cap that after many comments you stop? Because I notice I'm not a smaller creator, but I help smaller creators, and I notice that they'll answer a lot of comments. But to me, it feels like after a certain point, it becomes a little bit spammy. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely part of the whole building community. And so I will usually take the time to respond to them as long as they're not like bot comments, right? Like the spammy bot comments, which I also have a hack for preventing those from showing up on your account in general too. And I can share the link. I can share the link with Dennis, but there's a way you can go into Instagram settings and type in a specific set of words, and it will prevent any of those comments from showing up on future. And also it will remove past bot comments. Anyway, sidebar. I think it's helpful. And, I think that's a great way to kind of foster that connection with people, as long as you're doing it in a way that seems authentic to you. The other thing that I do too is like, as long as it seems like the person's, you know, again, not a bot or like a legitimate person, like I will actually send DMs to people when they follow me and just thank them for following me. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. And this is where, if you have a larger account, setting up a ManyChat automated response will save you a lot of time. Like I will even go through and just say, hey, thanks for following me. You know, if they're really engaged, and this is a lot where I've actually been able to close sales, is like, hey, thanks for following me. Oh my gosh, yes, I love your content, you know, want to know more about it, then blah, 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 blah. Like then we get off, we're out of the DMs, we're into a sales conversation, just simply from welcoming them to my channel, right? And so obviously if you have a larger account, that may not always be possible, but I think it just gives you that extra human touch when you go through and you welcome people and do respond to their comments, comment content.
Thanks
Yes.
for that. And yeah, I would like that link. But
Yeah.
in response to what you said, does that apply to just Instagram, or could that be applied across platforms like TikTok?
Yeah, it can be any platform, totally any platform. Yeah, I think, you know, LinkedIn doesn't always notify me when I get new followers. Like I have to go through and actually check my follower account. And I don't do it on LinkedIn, even though I probably should. So, you know, it just depends on the platform. I actually have just like given up on Facebook at this point, but you can do that on any platform. Yeah. Yeah. And then we had a question about equipment, and I have an iPhone. I think honestly what it is about lighting more than anything. So, and I have an iPhone 12 Plus, so I think it shoots in 4D or whatever the top video quality is. But I also have, not in my office here, but in my other office, like I have like a full photo shoot set up with like the box lights to like, you know, the for like the photographers use, and I actually got it for like $40 on Amazon. So it's like, it doesn't take a lot of money, but like lighting is really honestly the thing that I think that makes the hugest difference.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I want to make some videos of making bread. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out like, how am I going to set up the angles? And
Yeah. Well, there's one that is, I don't know the name of it, but essentially like you attach your phone to it and then you can lay it down so it like records from up above. And so that would be the one that I would invest in. They also have ones if you know, do a lot of movement in your videos and you're a dancer, that tracks your movement and like moves the phone wherever you move to. I'm not a big dancer, so that wouldn't make sense for me, but yeah, so that would be my recommendation, is the one that you can like record from above.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Mariana, I want to return to the question of, or the topic of getting permission, because I could see how like businesses could be at risk if they reshare, and then there's a just like, we ask you for permission, that's how the trail of the permission gets lost. Is there anything in the works to make it like some official validation of permission?
I wish that would make my life a lot easier, because I do some work for some larger clients that do a lot of like content curation and like repost a lot of other people's content, but it's literally just like I have to go through and be like, hey, like your photo, can we post this? There is nothing to my knowledge that is available now, so you tech folks, this is an idea, take it and run with it, build it, tell me about it, I will purchase it. There you go.
Excellent. I'm thinking like it's a good use of the blockchain, I think, in this case.
Yeah, totally.
Other questions? Totally. Anyone? Oh, I have like a real newbie question. So I'm a very casual user of Instagram. Can you explain the difference between a post, a story, and a reel?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. Okay. I will run down all of the different types of content. Okay, so you have a feed post, which when you go to someone's their profile, that is what you are going to see in those little squares, right? And that can be like a photo. You can also have a video on your feed, but your video needs to be under 60 seconds. So that is what will show up on your feed. Reels will also show up on your feed, as long as you share them there. They will also show up there. Your Instagram IGTV videos, those can be up to an hour long. And so typically what I do when I go live, so I go live on Instagram, then I save the video and share it to IGTV, and that also shows up in my grid as well. So there's like a bunch of different types of content, but also there's like a different tab on Instagram, and like shows up in the middle of the page. There's like your feed, and then there's a tab for your reels, and then there's a tab for videos. And so that is where like all of your video content will show up. And then there's another tab for specifically IGTV. So those are the kind of main big ones. And then reels, I already talked about reels, but then there's stories, and you can share, I think all types of content except IGTV. I think even IGTV, you can share all of your different types of content to your stories. That content only lives for like 24 hours. So, that is a great opportunity to share things like if you have a special time sensitive promotion, or just like something super casual that you don't want to live like long term on your feed. That is essentially what stories are for. Typically, well, and this is because this is me, like I share a lot of dog photos on my feed or on my story. I don't necessarily need that to live long term on my main profile, but that's just kind of something fun to like engage my audience and keep them warm, keep them engaged. And so that's essentially what I use stories for. The other aspect of stories is you can save your stories to your highlights, and those are the little round circles that show up in the middle of the page. And so your highlights essentially can be just like a curated selection of content. You keep that there in your highlights so it doesn't go away. So for me, I have one that's like my media features. So when I've been on podcasts and stuff like that, and I shared it to my story, I then share it to my highlights reel for that. I have one that's just like a curated selection of inspirational content that I have shared to my story, and I've also shared that to my highlights, and there's a couple other things. But highlights can be a great way of just saving the story content that you want to keep around, because otherwise it goes away after 24 hours.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
We have a question. Let's do Jerry first and then Jacqueline second.
All right, hey, thank you so much, Mariana.
Yeah.
One quick technical question, and then one like more real question, pun intended. Yeah. It is about reels. So the technical question is, so when I do a story, right, I see the bigger guys in my space, when they post a story, there's a link that like you can press the arrow and the thing shows up. What size do I have to get to have that feature?
You can have that now. It's a sticker. So you post it to your story. Then you go into stickers, and it's the link sticker. So it used to be only.
Oh no, I mean the one where like you click on it. Yeah, I have the link now because I got to 10,000. But the other ones where say, this is swipe up for this thing.
That is a paid promotion. So that is not organic content. That is a paid promotion.
Oh, okay.
You only see that if it is paid promotion. Yeah.
I see. Got it. Thank you. And then so on the reels, so I can't do animation, and the nature of my account, I shouldn't show my face. there are a lot of people want my head. So my question is how to make like engage. So how to make engaging real content that's text based. That's like say 7 seconds or something, so that people watch it twice inadvertently and stuff like that.
That's 7 seconds long. Well, actually, the most important part of that 7 seconds is the first 2 seconds. So
right, I saw it trails off. Yeah.
So I would say whatever you can do in the first 2 seconds to capture people's attention, because like even just like the way I view content, man, like I am a tough audience. Like I am like scroll until I'm like, I see something, and you literally it's like within 2 seconds, I'm like, oh, this is new, this is different. And so one thing I think that drives me crazy about Instagram, and I have dabbled with TikTok, I just haven't had the capacity to play around on TikTok as much as I want. But I think one thing that drives me crazy about Instagram is like the same 15 sounds get used into oblivion. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but there's like 15 trending sounds. And so I typically know right away if it's like a video with that trending sound. And so I will just be like, nope. So like trending sounds can be a way to grow your content, but in my book, do something original. Like, please, for the love of God. Like, I don't need that same sound showing up 55 times in my feed. And that's, anyway, I digress.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jacqueline next, and then Todd after Jacqueline.
Thank you so much. Okay, so
Yeah.
for like condensing one's like time and effort, okay? So is it important to post and do a reel? Or, I mean, I know you want to be doing all, right? But you can't do all every single day. So if
Yeah.
one was to have a consistent rhythm in terms of usage of all these different parts of Instagram, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I would say prioritize Reels content. Take a day or two and just batch them out, right? Just create a whole ton of them. Save them to your camera roll because Instagram can be really, really glitchy. And I've had content deleted off of my saved stuff on Instagram. So make sure you're saving it. And just batch out your reels. You know, I've gotten to the point where I'm just kind of doubling down on that because if I'm putting a whole bunch of time into design of these feed posts that like I think are super valuable for my audience, but like 15 people are seeing it. Like that's, I mean, as a small business owner, you gotta figure out like what are the needle movers, like what are the things that are gonna make the biggest difference. And you know, just the way the algorithm works now, that's reels, right? And that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop creating carousel posts and I'm going to stop doing other things. But if you have to choose, that's what I would say to put your efforts behind.
What would be number 2?
Carousel posts. Carousel posts get more engagement than standard feed posts.
And
so
carousel
carousels,
posts, tell me what that is. Is that in stories where the pictures move?
no, that's the swipeable like multi-card content.
Okay.
So like the ones that's like you can have up to 10 different cards on carousels. I get a lot of engagement off of those. And just because it's like literally stopping the swipe up, because you have to swipe to the right.
And that's in the posting section.
That's in the main feed. Yep. Mm-hmm. And
Got
most social media scheduling tools at this point in time allow you to schedule carousels. There was a time when you had to go in natively and post them, but that is not the case anymore.
Ooh, that's good to know. Oh, yeah. And then there we go. That's the next question. The scheduling process. What do you recommend as a scheduling
I have used
platform?
almost all of them, and Publer.io is by far my favorite. And
what? Say it again.
Publer, Publer, like publishing, but Publer.io. And I think you can use it for free for up to 3 different social media accounts. So you don't even need to pay right away. I pay because I have accounts up the wazoo. But Publer is amazing. And you can also post to Google My Business. You can schedule your YouTube. I think they now have TikTok scheduling. So pretty much anything other than Snapchat, which I am ancient and don't even know how to use that. So there you go. Anything other than Snapchat, you can schedule on Publer.io.
Okay, Publer.io. And then one last question.
Yeah.
If one were to be doing lives,
yes.
Okay, so your live is on a regular basis at the
yes.
same day and the same time every week, and you're calling it a series, and that's
yes.
probably the most substantial way to do this, right?
Yes. I would say make sure your audience knows what to expect from you. They show up regularly live, so then they're like, okay, if this person goes live every Thursday, I know this, I can expect this from them, I want to show up. So that would be my, do a series if you can.
Okay, and then is there, and like once a week?
I currently do it once a week. I got a ton of engagement when I did it twice a week. it was driving me nuts. It was because it was all the like promotional posts for the lives, like multiple promotional posts, and then going live and then sending the guests all this. Anyway, so once a week is really all that was manageable for me, but you can do it multiple times a week if that works for your brand and you have the capacity to do so.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So Todd will be our last question, but before we get to Todd, Mariana, if someone is interested in hiring you, where do they go?
Yeah, so redlabmarketing.com, REDLAB, again, Red Fox Labradors, remember the doggies, redlabmarketing.com, or I'm also on Instagram all the time at redlabmarketing, so you can follow me there, pop into my DMs, I would love it.
Excellent. Okay, Todd, last question.
Last question, I better make it good.
Yes.
So, hey there, Mariana. Good to see you. And thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on today. So what do you think about the grid? And you were saying that reels and stories, you do go to the grid or you can push them to the grid.
Reels share to the grid. Stories always just stay in stories unless you save them in your highlights.
And then the highlights go on the grid?
The highlights do not go on the grid. Those show up
Okay,
in those
okay.
little bubbles in the middle.
Okay, so reels go to the grid if you make them go to the grid.
Yes.
Okay, because I had a client that used that, you know, they spend a lot of time optimizing their grid.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you can't post one or two at a time or it just screws everything up downstream.
Yeah.
And I'm actually posting less because I played around with my grid and I don't want to screw it up, but I need to give that up because I'm not posting my photos enough. But so, so what do you think of how much importance for a brand, especially a brand that's in the creative industry where, you know, what it looks like is important? What's your thoughts on maintaining a good looking grid?
It's easier now because you can actually pin things in the position you want them to stay on your grid. So that's a new feature. So you can pin them. You can have your grid look exactly like you want it to. So if it's pinned, the new content will show up below that. And like the old content you have pinned, like on Facebook, like they had the pinning option. So it pinned it to the top. But Instagram now has pinning. So you can pin things onto your grid. So whatever content you want to have show up on your grid. Like so when people come to your profile, that'll be the content that shows up is the like those first 9 photos or whatever. My thought is it's lovely to have a really pretty brand presence, but people want valuable content. And they don't know what your grid looks like if they're just in the general feed, right? They have to go over to your profile in order to know what your grid looks like. So I would say make the content valuable more than anything else. Like some people get, you know, like real freaked out about the grid. To me, I don't care. Like that's my 2 cents. Like I don't care, but that's my brand. So, you know, whatever. Like for some brands, they may be like really, you know, like into that, but now you can pin, like I said, so it makes it easier to like curate your grid. So yeah.
Okay.
That's a new
Thanks for that.
feature. Yeah, just in the last like 2 weeks, I think.
Now everything, their grid's like, you know, probably like 90 posts now, you know, it's different rows or a 3x3, you know, it's different things. So just pinning a few is not going to do them much good. But that's good to know. Might work for me. So, okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you
my
guys.
favorite time. So Mariana, thanks so much for joining us. Again, everyone visit Mariana at RedLab. Is redlabmarketing.com? Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
And we'll be back later this summer with more meetups. So everyone,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so
Bye
much. I'll hope to
all.
see you at 4.
Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
I'll be there. Bye.
Rich really was here. Okay. See you guys.